Hi again, Kyle Lohmeyer of the Wurst here. Well, work schedules and half the band having a bit of a sciatica issue, and that would be specifically the half that sits behind the drum set, has kind of slowed down us working on new music lately, so I thought I'd post another one of my random diatribes here. Well, actually, they're not that random because, well, both of you who've listened to the songs on the channel and picked out the vocals may notice that these little talks tend to expand upon the themes I touch on in the lyrics to the songs Why Don't You Go Fuck Yourself and My Own Way. Anyhow, last time I threatened to talk about the uniqueness of government among all human organizations, so I'll make good on that threat. What is it about government that makes it unique and much different than any other human organization, like, say, a professional sports team or a corporation? Well, the answer is, of course, violence, and specifically the monopoly on the legal initiation thereof. I seem to hear a lot of younger people opining that it's the greedy and evil corporations that are what's wrong with America nowadays. And when you think about it, that's just kind of a silly conclusion to have reached. No corporation, no matter how big, can initiate violence against an individual legally. Nobody from General Motors can break into a Ford showroom and drag me out and force me to buy a miserable Chevy Cruze instead of a Ford Focus. And when Detroit Lions fans decide not to renew their season tickets this offseason, which I suspect a lot of them will do, no one from the Allen Park office is going to come and take any of them to jail. Now, on the other hand, if you attempt to refuse to do business with the federal government, that's a different matter altogether. Just like I'd never own a Chevy Cruze, and I don't really want Lions season tickets right now, I'm not a big fan of pretty much anything my tax dollars buy. Unlike me being able to just choose not to buy a Cruze or choose not to buy Lions season tickets, though, I cannot simply refuse to pay my income taxes. Well, I mean, I guess I can, but eventually somebody with a gun is going to show up at my door and want to talk to me about it. And that, in a nutshell, is the very nature of government. The essence of every law, no matter how benign sounding it may be, is the gun and the implied promise of it being used. So when people say there ought to be a law, what they're saying is the government should threaten to shoot someone over this. This is why I pulled all the hair out that I used to have from people talking about wanting to pass laws to ban people from wearing saggy pants. Yes, dudes walking around with their pants off their ass and halfway to their knees look like imbeciles. But for the state to threaten them with violence over it, that's not what humans made the mistake of inventing government to do. Government grew out of the essential practice of the division of labor, which is the root of all human society and civilization. Defending the settlement became another job to be parceled out, like growing crops, hunting game, hauling drinking water, brewing beer, etc. Somehow along the way, this association metastasized into the protectors no longer acting solely at the behest of society, but instead ruling it. And they've been pretty much doing it ever since. In America, as it is in much of the rest of the world, the expansion of government has gotten to the point where now governments use their power toward basically one end, and that's perpetuating having that power. One way governments make themselves more powerful is by co-opting the market of the country they rule. In China, this means that every major industry is owned outright by the state. In the United States, instead, we just have a government that colludes with the largest corporations at the top of their industries. And these corporations get bailouts and subsidies that are stolen from the taxpayers against their will. Hell, the banks that caused the financial crisis of 2008 received just a metric shit ton of taxpayer money to bail themselves out so they could stay afloat after their own practices blew up in their face. In a capitalist economy, that wouldn't happen. Banks that made those kinds of mistakes would just be out of business. But America is supposed to be a capitalist country or have a capitalist economy. There seems to be a contradiction here. And somebody much, much smarter than me once said that contradictions don't exist. If you think you're facing a contradiction, check your premises. One of them is wrong. Well, we have the two premises here. We're supposed to be a capitalist country, yet these banks that should have gone out of business are still in business. Well, those banks are still in business, so the wrong premise here must be that we're a capitalist country, or our economy is organized in a capitalist fashion, and it's not. What do we have? Well, it's not capitalism, and what it is, I guess, is something I'll just rant about another time. Thanks for paying attention.